Welcome, everyone. Thank you for visiting the Health Inn, an affiliate program of Homeopathy World Community. We have on the audio Dr. Deepak Sharma of the Orbits Clinic in New Delhi, India, and our special guest is Dr. Sadeghi from Tehran, Iran, and we're going to start with just a thought because our topic is diabetes and homeopathy. And even someone on the chat this morning has brought up an idea that I was also thinking about driving into the studio, and that is the element of love, and love heals everything, and without it, we are lacking. We might not feel so good, and we also have some kind of a connection between love and sugar. And it is a basic component, sugar, in the processing of the sugar in our lives, the sweetness, and the disease of diabetes. I'm also going to mention, and I want to thank everybody who has already commented and is being lively on the chat. And if they wish to call in to 919-518-9773 in the United States or via Skype at Computers 2K Voice. There is a tremendous amount of news and information concerning diabetes almost every day in our national papers. Little staggering statistics tell us that 25.8 million children and adults in the United States, that's 8.3% of the population, have diabetes. 18.8 million people are diagnosed. 7.0 million people are not diagnosed. What does that actually mean? That they're walking around with a disease that may end in a very bad result because they haven't been taking care of themselves. And then there are 79 million people who are pre-diabetic. There are almost 2 million new cases diagnosed in people aged 20 years and older. So 20 to me seems quite young. And so we have a situation here where even younger people are coming down with this problem, with this disease. In India, 30 million people have been diagnosed with diabetes. And in the rural areas, the prevalence approximately is 3% of the total population. So this kind of gives you an idea of the scale of the problem. And actually, I posted on Facebook today, just a little while ago, another statistic from the CDC, the World Health Organization, just to give you the scope of this problem. 347 million people worldwide have diabetes. And is Dr. Sadeghi on the line? No. Okay. So we're going to entertain your comments and questions when we have him back on today. Dr. Sharma in New Delhi, what is the percentage of clients that you see? If you could break it down.
Yes, it's really shocking news that India will be a hub for the diabetic patient in 2025. And in the present situation, only in the Delhi, basically about 1 lakh in 1 million people is suffering with the pre-diabetic or diabetic conditions. And in my practice, I have one patient daily in my OPDs with a diabetes mellitus. So diabetes mellitus is increasing going on, and it affects the younger children also. So it affects more and more.
Right. So we know that is an important issue, and how we address it, we're going to be learning pretty soon. The other thing is there's a lot of technology in the works today that are helping people to live normal lives. Right now, there is the possibility of this artificial pancreas, which is a smart pump. It's made by a company in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and is already being sold in Europe. Basically, it is detecting the blood sugar level in people with diabetes and automatically supplying insulin as needed. And so this is something that has already undergone a 3-month study in 247 patients and probably will be coming on the market soon. The other situation is problem with pancreatic transplantation and rejection, and they're also working on this problem, innovation, in the laboratory in Washington University, where they are doing something like stem cell transplants, clusters of human cells that make insulin to overcome this problem of rejection. And people who have diabetes and need a pancreatic transplant can't always get one, and they're not always available. And so the folks who are out there probably want to, I'm so thrilled that Dr. Sadeghi is with us, learn about the doctor, and his wife is with him as well, who works together in the clinics. So you were an allopathic, a regular traditional MD for many, many years. And then tell us your story about how you got involved in homeopathy.
Yes. As you know, in the name of God, the compassionate and merciful, I'm very happy to be with you. And I say hello to everybody that is watching this live show. I was about 20 years ago, I went to Medical University of Tehran, and I have been a medical doctor for more than 25 years. About 5 years ago, my wife and I went to register in a course about homeopathy, classical homeopathy, and we were very surprised with the results. My wife and I started practicing homeopathy from the second semester of our 2-year course, and we first met some students and some of my friends who have been who were affected with some problems just like allergy, and I tried to use some constitutional remedies for them, and I saw that it works very well. And we started to study more and more about homeopathy. We read Organon of Medicine, and it made us more familiar with this method of healing.
Okay, and so you have been practicing medicine for decades, and how many years has it been that you've been doing homeopathy? And do you do strictly homeopathy, or do you do a blend of traditional medicine?
As you know, homeopathy is a complementary medicine in some cases, like diabetes mellitus, and it is alternative medicine in many cases that there is no solution to many chronic conditions. And in people who are taking conventional drugs like oral antidiabetics or insulin, first we take a thorough case taking. We do a thorough case taking, and then we give our patients their remedies. As soon as we watch the effects of our remedies on our patients, we see that their blood glucose is coming down and is lowering. We start to cut or to taper the conventional remedies, the conventional drugs. And some of my patients have decreased their antidiabetics, oral or insulin. And I will say some cases, I will tell you about some cases at the end that some of them have cut, for example, 30 units of 55 units that they were taking, they used to take, and homeopathy made them able to be better and to improve their overall health, their general health, besides lowering their blood glucose and to cut some of their conventional medicines.
Okay, and how did you actually get started just to kind of specialize in the diabetic patients? It seems as if this is something that you've really had a great interest in.
Yes, as you know, right now we are facing a global pandemic, and more than 300 million people are affected and are suffering diabetes mellitus. In Iran, more than about 24% of general population are suffering diabetes that is considered higher than many developing countries. And because many of people are suffering this disorder, I thought that my wife and I thought that we can help diabetics all over the world. And right now we have patients from the US, we have a type 1 diabetic patient from Minnesota, we have patient from Alaska, patient from Canada and India, even India, and from Pakistan, from South Africa, and we have been visiting through internet and helped them to have better understanding of homeopathic remedies, and many of them have been benefited by this method of healing. I mean homeopathy.
Wonderful. So it was a inner desire for you to help the people who are suffering from this disease, and you're able to connect via Skype, I assume, to many of the people all around the world in all the different continents of the world. And
yes,
you're getting results, and I understand you have published quite a bit, both online in your books and
yes,
in journals. So
yes,
hopefully we will also want people to be able to contact you if they have questions about their health, because this show is purely educational, and if anyone hears about remedies or such like that, you don't want to treat yourself. You need to see a physician. You need to see a professional.
yes, exactly.
Right. So do you want to start off by telling us a little bit about the epidemiology?
Exactly, yes. As I said, we right now there are more than 300 million people who are affected with diabetes type 2 and type 1. And WHO, World Health Organization, has estimated this number will increase to 330 million by 2020. And it is more than the population of the US right now. As you know, the population of US is about 318, and this is a very huge, a very great number of people who are suffering this disorder. Right now in the U.S., according to my data that I have studied recently, according to Dr. Hans Ruth, who is the chief editor of Mayo Clinic website, and he was just talking on healthradio.net that is located in the US. He was talking about the number of diabetics in the US. He was talking in the year 2012, about 1 year ago. He said that about 25 million Americans are affected with diabetes type 2, and 1/4 of them, that is more than 7 million people, do not know they have it. And there are more than 80 million people who are in the stage of prediabetes. They are prediabetics. When we have a blood glucose level, fasting blood glucose level between 100 and 126, that is considered a prediabetic stage. And if we can find these people and we treat these people with homeopathy, it can be very helpful for them. Of course, I draw a triangle for my patients usually when they come to our clinic, and I say that this triangle has 3 sides, as you know. The main side is homeopathy, the other side is proper diet, and the third side is proper amount of physical exercise. If we follow this rule, we can have a complete cure. And as you know, in the literature right now, there are about 15% of patients who have taken homeopathic remedies. They have been completely cured. And in the encyclopedia of homeopathy, you can study some cases about diabetic. For example, I read a case about Dr. Tyler Kent, who had improved and healed his patient with phosphorus, and in about 3 to 4 months, and he had been completely cured. And Mr. Zamora, if I spell it right, he is a Mexican homeopath who believes, who has presented some of his patients, and the results have been promising. 50% of his patients have been completely cured, and 85% have improved relatively, and they have had better inner calmness and better life, happier, and that is what I have come to, and I have resulted, and I have had very good results with my patients that I will tell you next.
Wonderful. We will have to have, I think that's Guillermo Zamora. He is also a member of Homeopathy World Community. He is really excellent homeopath, and we'll have to invite him one day.
Exactly.
Can you tell us some of the negative aspects of conventional medicine? I know people are really wanting to hear some of the cases, so we're going to try and move through this. The negative aspects of conventional medicine, and why what we just heard, getting the pre-diabetics to go in and see a homeopath, and possibly as preventative for the development of conditions leading to officially diabetic. So tell us about conventional medicine and what you found.
Yes, as you know, conventional medicine looks at the patients not as a whole. He just separates the different parts and tells us that we should see a specialist for each part. But homeopathy is a holistic medicine. And diabetes mellitus is a psychosomatic disorder, but unfortunately many conventional doctors and medical doctors, they neglect the psycho part of this, psychiatric part of this and aspects of this condition, and they only watch the patient's fasting blood glucose, hemoglobin A1C, and of course they check every 3 months, 2 or 3 months, or sometimes every 6 months in some parts. Their renal function, their liver function tests, and the urine albumin, and creatinine, some, of course, some other lab tests. That is not enough, I think. It is very sad to see that our dear conventional medical doctors do not look at patients as a whole. We should have a holistic approach. Of course, in Harrison is called the Bible of internal medicine. You know, Harrison is a very good book and a very good textbook and source for all conventional medicine. In the last edition of Harrison, we read that all medical doctors should have a holistic approach to their patients with different methods of healing. And in that part, that chapter of the book, it has presented and talked about homeopathy and other holistic approaches or methods of healing. And I'm very happy to see that the conventional medicine is gradually realizing that if we want a patient to be healed truly, we should have a holistic approach, holistic view. And as you mentioned, there are conventional drugs that are used in conventional medicine. Unfortunately, since they do not act according to natural principles, like similarity that is considered in homeopathy, and they use drugs to inhibit many natural enzymes, many natural interactions. Unfortunately, we see many side effects, and it is because it is not similar. It is just against. It is against all the drugs, even insulin has many side effects, and it has suppressive effect in patients, and so our own defense mechanisms are disordered and disturbed. But homeopathy just enhances these internal reactions, and our body itself is strong enough to solve its problem. That's one of them is increasing just the blood glucose, fasting blood glucose, or some other criteria, some other materials in our body.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess we're not going to go through all of the different side effects and symptoms. That could probably take another couple of hours. So the effect,
exactly,
right? Yeah, we would have to do another program to do that.
Yes.
And talk a little bit about the safety and effectiveness of using homeopathy, and you also said there's a cost benefit, and maybe we will
Yes.
have time for questions from the chat, and also some cases, which would be really phenomenal if we could hear that.
Okay.
Yes, that
Uh,
this will be the main point, that how the homeopathy works in the diabetes patients. So that will be good.
Are you there?
Yes, yes,
uh,
I'm here. But we all want to listen about how the homeopathy works on the diabetic patients. So you must present the case or two of the diabetes mellitus.
okay. Uh, shall I explain about the
Unless,
efficacy?
yes, we would love to hear a case, unless you feel that there's something other kind of introductory information that the listeners should hear.
Yes, I just mentioned some of the effects of conventional medicine very fast. That cancer has been one of the side effects or adverse effects of conventional medicines. About Januvia, or that had been mentioned in your website, or even insulin. Some kinds of insulin can be cancerous. And as you asked, the efficacy of homeopathic remedies has been shown, has been proved. And as you know, Dr. Hahnemann, peace be upon him, he has written in his book a very precious, priceless book called Chronic Diseases, that homeopathy is the gift of the God. Is the gift that God has delivered, has granted, has given us to cure chronic diseases. And he says that the only device, the only remedy or medicine that can heal chronic diseases completely and cure them is homeopathy. And I have experienced this. Of course, not as much as Dr. Hahnemann or Dr. Some of other teachers like Mr. Vitulkas or Dr. Sharma, Deepak Sharma. And I know myself at the beginning of this very fabulous and very interesting and wonderful way of treating and curing patients. And the safety of homeopathic remedies is very true aspect of homeopathy. Of course, we should know that one who prescribes a remedy, he should know that remedy very well. For example, I myself heal. I mean that my wife and I prescribe remedies with classical homeopathy and regarding principles of classical homeopathy, like similarity, like single dose. We usually use only one remedy during 40 to 50 or 30 days, and we do not repeat it again in this duration of action of time. As you know, each homeopathic remedy has a duration of action. For example, lycopodium has a duration of action between 40 to 50 days. And many antipsoric remedies have a similar direction of action. And we have had more than 110 cases during these 5 years that have experienced promising results with homeopathy, and more than 80% of my patients who followed the homeopathy more than 3 months have been cured, have been healed, and have had
Okay, so
very good
do you,
results.
I'm sorry, do you not use a water potency to repeat? Because I think a lot of homeopaths today are using water potencies, meaning that if a person is on some kind of drugs, medication, they have stressors or challenges in their life, that they need to repeat the energetic resonance
Yes.
of the homeopathic medicine. Perhaps in a different country of the world, people are less under the same kinds of strains and stresses of toxins in the environment and other things, or inability to process the amount of, I mean, obviously you do coaching with the diet and the exercise so that they change their lifestyle. But for me to imagine, okay, I'm going to give you one dose of this remedy and we're going to see you back in 1 or 2 months, and
Yes.
the action of the remedy is going, that does sound like the day of Hanuman.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit
Yes.
more.
As you know, we use also placebo. We use placebo and we give it to our patients to take it home and take it daily, because right now patients, about all of the patients need to have a daily remedy, and we give them placebo. And we say that we tell them that they can take this placebo, and whenever it is finished, they can come and take more. And if they are in a farther place, for example, in some city other than Tehran, we can send them 2 drops of placebo, and we give them in liquid form. You know.
Okay.
We prescribe all remedies in liquid form.
Very, very
Yes.
good. That's good to learn. You know, people have poo-pooed placebo. They compare it with a lot of things, including homeopathy. Say homeopathy is nothing better than placebo. But look, if you're giving a placebo and your body, in holistically, body, mind, and spirit are going to heal itself, I don't see any negative action for that. I don't see, have a problem with giving a placebo.
Exactly.
Isn't it better not to have side effects, not to actually put drugs in your body if your body can heal itself simply by taking a placebo? And we have to really investigate the potential for that as, our remedy to heal all of our ills. Somebody asked me, Dr. Kubashan asked me, what kind of love is going to heal? And we started off by saying sugar is sweet, sugar represents love, nurturing, and giving that delicious taste. So you give your kid a lollipop, you give your kid ice cream or something, and it represents how you feel. So it's unconditional love is going to be the most powerful form of love, that it's like God's love. No matter what you do, you're loved.
Yes.
Of course, your behavior may not be condoned if it's bad. What is the question? I feel giving placebo is dishonest. Oh, Rochelle. Well, you can tell the patient, we're going to give you your potentized remedy right now at the beginning, and then you're going to get just your placebo in between.
Yes, exactly, and that is
you would rather trust that. You know what? We could talk about it until the sun doesn't shine, but I'll tell you what. Ritual is part of human nature to make things happen in the world, to make our thoughts, our intentions, our words, when it comes into form and to actually doing something in the world, it changes us. It changes who we are, how we relate to ourselves, to others, and to the Creator, just by taking this action. So I think that, we need to investigate more about placebo and its potential to heal. I understand that there are plenty of people who do feel it's a dishonest method to use.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and listen to some case studies and see how the case presents and what you determined the remedy and how it progresses.
Yes, I want to suggest that my wife presents something in Farsi about just how we do our work, our job for our patients, and then I translate it to English. میشه لطفاً راجع به چیز صحبت بکنید؟ شما چیکار میکنید؟ در بیمارا چجوری مثلا شرح حال میگیرید؟ آره، شرح حال نه به فارسی، شرح حال میگیرید و بعد کاری که میکنید، فالوآپ که میکنید، بعد من به انگلیسی ترجمه میکنم.
من اول با مریض صحبت میکنم، مسائل ذهن، عواطف، احساسات، مشکلات ترسشون، اضطرابشون، مشکلات دردایی که دارن رو میپرسم.
She says that first we take their case, the patient's case, and we ask them about different aspects of their life. For example, their fears, how they sleep, and other questions. And at the end, I add this to her thought that. At the end we repertorize.
الان دستگاه رادار داروی شخصیتی روشون انتخاب میکنیم، یه دوز بهشون.
We repertorize the case. We repertorize the main rubrics. In most cases, of course, in some cases we don't repertorize because we have little time. But in most cases, we use radar as our diagnostic software, and it helps us very much. We use VES, Virtual Cost Expert System, and horizontal and graphical analysis. We usually see all three analysis, and we come to a result to select the best remedy and then prescribe the remedy under our eyes. That is very important, as Dr. Hahnemann has emphasize that try to give the remedy in your clinic, at your clinic, and it is done under our eyes. Sometimes the patients say that they feel the remedy. We ask them, how do you feel? After some minutes, their homeopathic remedies, they can show their effects after some minutes to at most 1 month. And many of our patients say that we feel that we have our face has become warm and hot. And one patient said that when she went out of the clinic after 3 hours, she felt that some hot weather, some hot thing came out of her ear. And these observations and experiences have been very interesting for us. And we came to the result that homeopathic remedies have been effective and have started their work. And as I said, it takes from some minutes to at most a month to be felt by the patient. If the patient feels the remedy, we don't change the remedy. But if she or he doesn't feel the remedy, she may take more remedy, or we may change the remedy. It may be changed to another remedy.
Or change the potency. Do you find that you give a low potency to these patients, or are you giving variety?
As you know, we have had patients with different ages, from those who have type 1 diabetes to those who have type 2 diabetes in adult age, or even old age. The eldest patient we have visited at her home was a lady aged 87, and she complained of legs pain, and her fasting blood glucose didn't come down with anti-diabetics, oral anti-diabetics. And my wife and I went to her home and gave her Syzygium, 1 dose of Syzygium, and we told her family that how to repeat it daily at home. And after 2 days, her daughter called me up and said that her mother had no legs pain and she slept better. And we asked her to measure her fasting blood glucose and to tell us again. And we have, as you know, the potency of remedies is determined by the vitality of the person and vital force. In children, we can start with higher potencies, but in most cases, we use lower potencies in type 1 diabetes because they have a very deep pathology, you know. Their pancreas and their autoimmune disorder has made them to feel bad and to have deep pathology. So in deep pathologies, we should not give high potencies. And in many cases, we start with 6x potencies.
Okay, 6x, which I consider to be cell salts. Okay, do you have some cases? We only have about 14 minutes left.
Yes, we have had very interesting cases. One of our cases was a cardiovascular case. He is type 2 diabetes, a man aged 69. He had deep pathology. When he came to me, he said that his heart is working only 30% of his heart is working. And the function had reduced prominently. He could not walk more than 200 to 300 meters. After that, he had dyspnea or difficult respiration. I told him that if I increase your health with homeopathy, what would you do? He said that I will pray for you. And that was when I worked at one of the charity clinics last year. He took lycopodium and laxatives. After 5 months of taking these remedies with the same formula that I told you and our dear listeners, he felt very well, and I suggested him to have echocardiography and exercise test. He did it, and the exercise test and echocardiography showed prominent change in his left ventricle. His left ventricle had been severely impaired, and but in the new echocardiography and exercise test, he had shown a very good improvement. And he can walk more than 2 hours a day without feeling any difficulty in his respiration, and his breathing is very better. And when I wrote this to Professor Vitolkas, because we write to each other sometime, he told me, Agha Noor, you did a very good job with, in spite of in spite of deep pathology of the patient, and at the end he said that well done. And I have written this case. I asked, in 2 of my books. One of them is Reversing the Diabetes with Homeopathy, that is ready to be published. And the other is Chronic Diseases Cured with Homeopathy. We have many other cases, and we have, for example, cases that have been taking insulin. A lady aged 72, she she took a homeopathic remedy, and after 5 months, 30 units of insulin that she was taking before starting homeopathy was cut. And at the beginning, she took 55 units of insulin, NPH and regular. And after about 5 months, she only took 25. That is 30 units less than the insulin that she used to take at the beginning of homeopathic method of healing. And we also had...
So does every single patient need a different remedy, or do you find a cluster of particular remedies you're using more often?
Yes, that's a very good question. More than 40% of our patients have been improved with lachesis and lycopodium. And in the literature, I read about one of our friends, I think in HWC, your own website, that I thank you very much for your very good job in this website that is globally used. He said that lycopodium has been used by him in 40% of the cases, and I experienced that more than 40% of my patients have been using, and their proper remedy have been lachesis and lycopodium. That is because of the personality of these two characters that ends to cancer or ends to diabetes mellitus. That is a very deep pathology. And
repeat the last sentence. What did you say? The lachesis and the lycopodium, because of the personalities and the affinity with these remedies. You said something else. I didn't catch that.
Yes. The personality of lycopodium, they love to be powerful, to be leaders, to be managers, and they have very low self-confidence, and they should work very hard to reach the goals that they plan for themselves. So their body cannot be very sufficient, and at the end it can end to cancer or diabetes mellitus, to some other diseases with deep pathology. And lachesis, because he wants to dominate all as many as people that he can. Lachesis, is such a personality, as you know. And because he uses lots of energy to talk, and he uses lots of energy, and he tries to dominate over all people that he knows, and so his body again cannot tolerate, and the balance changes to imbalance,
I see.
And it can,
I think Amnon has a question.
Dr. Sadari, could you ask Mrs. Mahdari what is the most positive feedback that she gets from your patients when she comes across? What is the most positive feedback she gets?
I ask my wife.
Yes.
Or me, myself.
No, ask your wife.
ایشون میگن که مهمترین فیدبکی که میگیری، یعنی این بازخورده که میگیرید از بیمارانتون چیه؟ وقتی میان که حالشون مثلا بهتر شده، اینا چی میگن؟ چه تغییری مثلا تو زندگیشون، تو خوابشون؟
خوابشون بهتر میشه، عصبانیتشون بهتر میشه، ترساشون بهتر میشه، گریه هاشون بهتر میشه، شادتر میشن، انرژایتی
خانوادهشون چی؟
مهربونتر میشن با
اوضاع
خانوادهشون،
خانوادگیشون بهتر میشه.
بهتر میشه خانوادهشون.
She says that they feel better, they feel less nervous, their sleep better, their relationship with the other members of the families gets better too in most cases, and overall they feel happier. That is, I just add to her talk that happiness and increasing.
گذشته‌شون رو فراموش میکنن.
In many cases, they forget their past. You know, they forget their past. For example, in NATM, natrium uraticum, that things of the past, or ignatia. In ignatia cases, they weep less. Arsenicum album feels better. And,
with what?
Yes.
Arsenicum album for what?
After our patients who take arsenicum album,
آرام افسردگیشون بهتر میشه.
and they feel better after taking arsenicum album.
Okay.
They feel better and more energetic and less fears.
Right. I have a question that we didn't really talk about. I understand that your wife, Fahima, that you help with the personal questions, especially for the women, that you'll go in and ask the privacy questions and such. But do we have any kind of statistic about whether more people are diagnosed with diabetes are female or male? Is it even? I did not investigate that.
I read an article today that was published in PubMed. You know, PubMed is one of the yes, PubMed, an article that was authored by Iranian doctors, medical doctors, and one of them was Dr. Hagdous. He said that the women are affected. Yes, are affected 1.7% more than men in Iran, and that is statistics that just I saw today.
I'm wondering.
But here is one study says that males are more affected than the females just because of the estrogen level. Because the female have a more estrogen levels, and that is why they have less hypertension and less diabetes. I read it in one of the article.
Yes.
And so this is also an environmental problem. If we have so many phytoestrogens mimicking estrogen out there in our environment, how is it affecting all populations, all ages? That would be for another show, obviously. We have only a few minutes left. Do you have one more case to tell us, and then we'll close?
Yes, I can ask some question from my wife.
I also forgot.
She also has diabetes mellitus, you know, and I can ask her some questions, and I will translate to you. شما از کی دچار دیابت شدین؟
4 سال.
She says that she has been affected with diabetes mellitus since about 2 or 3 years ago. چه کار کردی براش؟ چه کاری کرد؟ چه داروی مصرف کردی؟
داروی لچسی.
نه، اول داروی شیمیایی استفاده کردی؟
نه، داروی شیمیایی یه روز خوردم حالم بد شد. بعد داروی هومیوپاتیک.
She says that she took first metformin, only one tablet of metformin, and she felt worse. She had some gastrointestinal side effect, and she cut it, and only took homeopathic remedies. And since then, she has been taking homeopathic remedies, and she, for example, lachesis or arsenicum album, yes, causticum, and
calcarea,
she has been benefited by this natrium and she has been benefited by these remedies. She doesn't take any conventional drugs now, and usually phosphorus, and usually her fasting blood sugar, yes. First she had an aggravation of fasting blood glucose, and then it came down, and as far as I know, her last fasting blood sugar is 135, and it is between 135 120 25, and it is in this range. Of course, she has been suffering some other symptoms that have been better. For example, she had a kyphosis, moderate to mild kyphosis that had been better with calcarea, sulfur, and other remedies that she has been taking in the last 4 years after being a homeopathic student. And also psoriasis. Psoriasis got improved by about 80% with homeopathic remedies, and she doesn't use any conventional drugs for psoriasis. And also she had hemorrhoid, and she doesn't have any hemorrhoid. Yes, her bone pains she suffered, and she only takes homeopathic right now.
It sounds like it's working for you. That is wonderful. Everybody should be able to be healed. We would love to see that. We have a lot of questions. There was somebody at the very beginning of the hour who asked. Let me see what I put it. Thank you for this opportunity. She has a question relating to diabetes and the emotional situation. I have a patient of 26 years old who was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes after a separation from her boyfriend. I also know of a case of sudden death of a 17-year-old girl who entered into diabetic coma after breaking up with her boyfriend and died. So her question.
Excuse me. I suggest Ignacio Amara for the patient who was separated from his boyfriend. Ignacio Amara can help her. Of course, there are some other grief remedies like phosphoric acid and even lacasis, but Ignacio Amara can be a very good remedy for her. Of course, I should ask more questions, and I'm sorry that we couldn't answer other questions. I hope to have another time to answer all questions.
Okay, if you can hold on just a few more minutes. Another person, I wanted to thank the person who asked that first question. That was Marinos. And then we have a question from another person. I am a type 2, I think it's Rochelle, type 2 thin type who is controlled on a low carb, I guess that's low glycemic diet, and she exercises. She's been exercising for 7 years. So she recently had dental surgery, and it has taken a week for the higher fasting levels to start to come down. And perhaps you would need to know more about this person to be able to say that. Everybody's asking, can you really cure diabetes, type 1 diabetes, or, what's
type 1 diabetes can be cured relatively and partially. I haven't seen any reports of complete cure of patient with type 1 diabetes. But type 2 diabetes, as I said before, can be completely cured.
Okay, so
I hope.
Yes.
I hope that we can have a research study, a meta-analysis or a systematic review, and in a very good center in one of the countries, and we can show the effectiveness of homeopathy in type 1 diabetes or type 2 diabetes.
ورزش رژیم.
Thank you so much. Do you have a question? Did you have a question, Mrs. Sadeghderi?
She said that exercise is also, and exercise is very important to help patients with diabetes type 2.
ورزش هم می‌کنم.
Yes.
Right. Dr. Sharma, did you have a comment?
Yes. Basically, we want to learn the patient about the diabetes mellitus. It is basically a metabolic syndrome. It's just a difference between the input and the output. When the output is very less and input is more, then there will be the more chances to a diabetic one. So
Yes.
this will give a education to the every patient. What is actually a diabetes?
Yes.
Right. We previously, I think it's been maybe a year ago, we had Sergio Butenko, who was a vegetarian and diagnosed as a young boy with diabetes. And he healed himself simply by becoming a vegetarian, doing lots of juicing, going out and nature, going out into nature and picking berries and such, wild, what is it called? Wild something, eating
Yes.
from the wild. And now as an older young man, he's going into the realm of maybe tasting some meat and chicken and fish. He's testing how far he can go, but he keeps it completely, he feels he's cured, I believe. But when you talk about exercise, he gave an example of if his blood sugar was dropping in the middle of the night or whenever it was, he would go out and run. He would go out and do the exercise. That's what he was saying when he was on the show. In order to make the adjustments to his body. And it seems as if, we mentioned love, but are there predisposition to like having a disease, having another kind of assault on the body, perhaps like influenza or a cold or an injury? Is there any kind of connection between that and getting diabetes?
Yes, injuries, head injuries can induce diabetes mellitus type 1, and that is very important. And also, as you know, genetic predisposition is very important in diabetes type 2 and has a small plays a small role in diabetes type 1. And autoimmune disorders, as you know, is very important in diabetes type 1. And it is very important that children should not be behaved badly. And children who are under stress, under full stress, for example, for doing their school homework, or those parents who are idealistic, that may lead to patients or children with diabetes type 1. I ask all parents not to put so much pressure under their children. That can end to diabetes type 1 and is very very bad.
Is this under the cancer miasm?
Yes, cancer miasm is very important, and those who have cancer, parents with cancer, that can lead, for example, as you know, carcinosinem. Carcinosinem is one of the remedies, very good remedies that is used in patients with diabetes type 2, and yes, predisposition and family history of cancer is very important also. In being involved with diabetes type 2.
Right, so it's all about relationships.
Diabetes mellitus is a tubercular miasm, is originated from the tubercular miasm.
Exactly. But Mr. Hahnemann says that diabetes is SORA. It is SORA, but Many homeopaths believe that it is pseudosora, as you
Yes,
said, it is tubercular miasm. Exactly.
it's a mixture of psora and syphilitic miasm.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Wow, this has been really educational for us. Basically, it tells us, again, it comes back to that love element that we have to reduce the stress and not put so much expectation upon the children. When we put that pressure on them, then they're not able to function properly. I want to let folks know that next Monday we're going to have Dr. Stephen Blake back with us, the pet whisperer. He's going to be talking about hypothyroidism in pets. And also, unbelievably, pets also have diabetes, and many of the owners will give them insulin. And I was just reading an article, I think it was in Science, that owners and their pets, they're like their children. They really have a relationship very similar to children. So are you stressing out your pet and that's why they're getting diabetes? I don't know. Also on April 3rd, 2012, Dr. Christina Chambreau, show number 23 with her, talked about diabetes and your pet, and we might learn something from our pets, how they behave and relate to us. Of course, antioxidants are a very big component of helping us heal and clean our body. We've got tons and tons of articles on Homeopathy World Community about the disease of diabetes that you can peruse and view. Let's see, on Wednesday, I will be on Blog Talk Radio reading Dr. Herbert Roberts' Principles and Art of Cure by Homeopathy. We're up to something like chapter 34. It gets in depth, and it could be a challenge for newbies to homeopathy, but he has incredible wisdom that is always pertinent to today. On Thursday, Alan Phillips will be on Vaccinations and Your Rights in the United States on Blog Talk Radio at 1 p.m. in Eastern Time, also simulcasting on Freedomizer Radio. I want to thank you so much for, I don't even know what time it is in Tehran right now.
It's 8:39
Okay.
p.m. 8:39 p.m.
Not too bad. And
And here is 9:39 p.m.
9:39, and we had the full moon last night. Probably affects everybody. Unfortunately, we had total so we had overcast and rain, so I missed it, but I did put up a cute little video from the previous night. I think the whole world was watching the moon. Thank you so much, sending waves of awareness and tons of unconditional love to everyone. Please join us next Monday with Dr. Stephen Blake. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Or good night.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays 9 a.m. till noon. Carrie's Psychic Cafe with Carrie Silkowski, Sundays 8 till 9 p.m. Health In with Debbie Bruck, Mondays 11 a.m. till noon. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays 8 till 9 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays 9 till 10 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by thatvidblasterguy.com, carolinaapparel.com, and deltaforce.net.